Hello everybody, we're now on to plot point 4 of our very hungry caterpillar story. And as you can see, I've put that his feelings are not quite as high as they were at the beginning of this story. Is now put it quite far down, sort of -5. Not feeling very good at all, because hopefully you've remembered that he's now got a really sore tummy. So these next sentences aren't going to be positive like we were writing earlier. They're now going to be quite negative and sad. So let's see. The sentences that we're going to be writing, we're going to write a touching sentence, so a sentence about what he can feel, an adverb sentence, and a noticing sentence, what he might notice and what he might see. So first is that touching sentence, what he feels. So have a think about how it feels when you have a tummy ache. What sort of words or phrases could you use to describe that? You might say it's a sharp pain or a stabbing pain. You might say that you're in agony, and that it's sore, it hurts, you might feel a bit sick, or you could say queasy. You might say you feel a bit feverish, maybe, as well. Feverish is when you feel hot, so you wouldn't be able to use that on its own to describe a tummy ache. You might feel poorly, or lousy. So there are some of my words to describe a tummy ache. You might have some of the same and some different ones. And so here's the model sentence that we're going to be using. So we start the sentence with, after eating all of that food, all of that food, comma, and now we're going to describe how he feels. So the tiny caterpillar's tummy felt, or you might say the tiny caterpillar felt. So my one I'm going to use is the tiny caterpillar's, and because it's his tummy, it needs to have an apostrophe. Caterpillar's tummy felt, I'm going to use sore, full stop. Now we're going to write our sentence using an adverb that describes how something moves. So the caterpillar is very fat, he's got a really sore tummy, but he does eat one more green leaf, doesn't he? So we need to describe how the caterpillar moves to go and eat that one more green leaf. So if you've got a tummy ache, how would you move? So you might move slowly, you might move delicately, really, and carefully, just made me think of carefully there, to make sure that you don't sort of twist yourself in a way that makes it hurt even more. Delicately. What else did I think of? You might move reluctantly, meaning that you don't really want to, but you know that you have to. Reluctantly. He might move warily, which means that he's feeling really tired as well. Warily move, sorry. He might actually move quite quickly, especially if he thinks he's going to be sick. You might have a few others there. And so we're going to describe how he moves to go and eat that one more green leaf. So the brilliant thing about an adverb is that you can put it in almost any place in the sentence. So I'm going to choose, first of all I'm going to write the sentence that I'm going to be using. And I know I haven't got a capital letter, but you'll see why in a minute. He got to his feet and ate one more green leaf. So that's the basic part of my sentence, but now I'm going to add some adverbs to make it more interesting. So he got to his feet. How might he have got to his feet? I'm going to choose, any of those will work, but I'm going to choose slowly as my adverb for that one. So I could start the sentence with that. I could say, slowly he got to his feet. Or I could start with, he got to his feet slowly. Or, slowly he got to his feet. He got to his feet slowly. I think I'm going to choose to put that one at the beginning. I think it sounds slightly better. Slowly, comma, he got to his feet. Now I'm going to choose an adverb to describe how he ate the green leaf. So I'm going to choose delicately. He's sort of going to nibble at it very delicately. So slowly he got to his feet and delicately ate one more green leaf. Or slowly he got to his feet and ate one more green leaf delicately. I think again, for me, it sounds better at the beginning. And delicately ate. Delicately ate one more green leaf. Right, we're on to our last sentence of the day, and this sentence is all about what he notices and what he can see. So now he's going to realise that he's not a tiny caterpillar anymore and that he's a big, fat caterpillar. But he won't have looked in a mirror to figure that out. I wonder where he would have worked it out. Maybe he looks at himself and notices it, or maybe he sees a little pool of rainwater and he pokes his head over there and looks at his reflection possibly. And so however he does it, I want us to think of other words for the word looked. Looked. So how might you look at something? Put a face here. Looking in my scaleometer. So we're going to think of kind of big, really looking at something, and maybe just peeping at something. Nah, just thought of one. So I'm going to put peep down here. Might peep or peek. He might gawp. I'd say that's a bit more than looked. Gawp. His reflection. He might, he might just notice his reflection. So I think that's a bit less than looked. Probably only just though, notice. Let's see what else we've got here. Stare. He might stare at his reflection. I think that's more than looking. Yeah, probably a bit more than, very similar to gawping really. I'm going to put stare here. Let's see what else I've got on my list. Watched. Not sure if that's quite the right word for this sentence, but it is another word for looked. Admires. Admires. I'll put that down here. Again, you might think, no, it's not quite right for this sentence, even though admires is another word for looked. It's Admires means he's feeling very positive about his reflection, and we know that he's not feeling very positive about it because he's right down there on the scale and he's got tummy ache, so it's not likely that he's admiring his reflection then. Gaze. He might inspect. Study. Let's see what else. I think that's all I've got on my list. Oh, spotted. His reflection. So have a look at your list. And I'm looking at mine. And maybe cross off any that you think they absolutely don't work for this sentence. So I don't think gaze really works. Don't think watched works. Or admires. Okay. So now I'm going to model our sentence. And you need to decide how he looks at himself. Does he look at himself in a pool of water? Does he look down on himself? How else might he see his reflection? I'm going to use the pool of rainwater as my way. So he, I'm going to leave a gap, that's going to be one of these words in a second. He, his reflection. In a pool of rainwater. How is he going to look at his reflection? I think I'm going to use stared. Staring at it for a long time. He stared at his reflection in a pool of rainwater, comma, he wasn't a tiny caterpillar anymore. Pillar anymore. Dot, dot, dot. He was a great big fat caterpillar. And I think I'm going to put an exclamation mark on the end of that. He stared at his reflection in a pool of rainwater. He wasn't a tiny caterpillar anymore. He was a great, big, fat